Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Welcome to the Facebook Live on the 10th of February, year 2021. Welcome. I'm joined today by our panel, a few members of our panel. Some of them are missing. And I know Louise and April, who are missing, are always with us virtually, right? Their presence is always here with us. So we are joined by Travis, who is a musician and a spiritual teacher. Welcome, Travis. Good evening. And then Caesar, our channel and a spiritual teacher. And welcome, Caesar. And then we are joined by Eileen, the incredible Eileen, that's going to provide her wisdom and help us stay streamlined. I don't see a message from Kelly. I have not checked my messenger messages, so I don't know. He may be joining. Kelly's our Qigong teacher, but I know April and Louise are with us virtually. Their presence are always with us. So the last week we were doing this, we had gone through the 7 spiritual laws of success, and then we were exploring the, here comes Kelly. So, and then we were exploring the limiting beliefs with the 7 spiritual laws of success, right? We had done the first 2 laws. Towards the end of the last Facebook Q&A, I had come to the point where I was speaking about that cooperation and collaboration, right, is very, like the very essence of all these laws. Now, when I say cooperation and collaboration are the very essence of all these laws is, I don't know how many of you remember when April was trying to get me to explain within one sentence what is the fundamental, what is cosmic law, right? What I was trying to explain is when we get to that depth of presence, that depth of stillness, we know that there's a knowing. There's not even a word is not said. It's a vibrational knowing that if I take a pencil, right, what is in this pencil is in me. Like that every cell of our body is imbued with that consciousness, right? And that consciousness, there was a conversation that, and Eileen is a huge fan of Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton, Dr. Joe Dispenza. So every cell, right, of our body is imbued with consciousness. So if you look at it at the atomic level, right, if you look at the macrocosm that our planet, like we talked about, that the fabric of the universe, which is space is holding time and space. The curvature of time and space is holding the galaxy in such a way that the sun is positioned in a certain spot. The earth is at a certain distance from that spot, right? And they're all the planets are held together. There's a force that you can call it gravitational force, whatever you can, you may want to label it, but there's a force that holds everything together. The same way in an atom, the electrons, protons, and neutrons are held together, and there's a cohesion. There's a reason why certain molecules adhere, like 2 molecules of hydrogen and 1 molecule of 1 atom of oxygen makes H2O, right? Which makes water. Why is that? Why is that the cohesion, right? So Eckhart had a conversation with a professor in chemistry, I think in the year 2014, Lothar Schaefer, and the professor talks about this, that the fundamental thing, if everybody can understand that the very fundamental thing to this universe, and we may colloquially call it the law of attraction, it is this law of collaboration and cooperation, or the interconnectedness, interrelatedness of everything. That there may be a butterfly that flaps its wings in Mexico, but then there's a tornado somewhere in Idaho because of the butterfly flapping its wing, right? So the consciousness experiencing itself through a spider, the consciousness experiencing itself through a bee, all that is interconnected with the consciousness of who we are as human beings. Now, how is it related to the third law, which was the law of my intentions and desires are supported by planetary intelligence? So we're going to go into intentions and desires are supported by planetary intelligence. In chapter 14 of the book, The Nature of Personal Reality, Seth speaks about how we pull, like it almost is like reality is passing, like the events are passing, and how do we on neural networks, when they fire, how they pull based on our beliefs, how we pull into existence what is happening to us right now, right? So if it is that my intention and desires are supported by planetary intelligence, then there is a limiting belief. If my what I'm experiencing in this present reality, if I'm not experiencing what my intention and desire is, then why is it there has to be a limiting belief. There has to be a belief that is filtering out what is my intention and desire. Does that make sense? Right? So it's passing through the filter of my belief. And that's how we pull, they are probable events continuously happening, but depending on our beliefs, we pull what transpires in this moment, what becomes our reality, right? And strangely enough, I kind of wanted to explain this last week. I did not explain it. And then I said, okay, I'll explain it this week. And yesterday, Summer posts in Messenger, she posts a Greg Braden YouTube video that talks exactly about the cooperation and collaboration, right? So even if we want to bring healing, like be a superhuman, right, in this moment and bring healing into our body, we have to kind of go back into our past selves, and the healing has to come from the past self, right? So we are modifying by what our intention and desire is in this moment, and our belief is going to modify the past. It is amazing that we have that capacity. That's why the name of the group is Exploring the Infinite Potential, which is in presence. But what is this infinite potential, right? We have that potential. So here's to peace, harmony, and abundance for all. And how are we going to find these limiting beliefs? So who wants to try? Travis, since you joined first, did you want to get started on what can be a limiting belief to my intention and desire? Like, I know planetary intelligence is going to support my intention and desire. And what is the limiting belief that is coming in? Mm-hmm. What am I pulling into existing? My neural, as they fires, right?
Right.
What am I pulling?
Sure.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I'll start with just clarifying a little bit around the word belief. And I know we all have different definitions that we assign to words, and that can change for us over time. And kind of so, but I'll define belief this way. A belief is something that you think might be so, but you're not absolutely certain that it is so. That's why you believe it. And so, as you were speaking, I was looking at what I might believe, and I was just sitting in whatever state I was in or am in, and I thought, well, I don't know what I believe, and that felt like a nice place to be, to not know what I believe. And so for me, it's a funny thing. It's almost maybe kind of paradoxical. It's in those moments that I don't know exactly who I am, and I don't mind, and I don't know exactly what I believe, and that's okay with me as well. And I'm open to looking at whatever it is I might believe, or whoever it is I may be. And so when I'm in that space of openness, almost like a fool, it's almost like I'm empty-headed in a way. Um, it seems as almost as though in those moments, that is when I am not encumbered by a limiting belief, because I'm not in a state of I know about this, or I know about that, or this is the knowledge that I possess, and I have my ideas about what is and what isn't, and what can be, what shall be. I'm not so sure what is. I'm not so sure what will be. I'm not so sure what ought to be. Others seem so certain about these things. I know for so many of us, we feel very certain that things would be better if they weren't the way that they happen to be right now. Things could be a whole lot better than this. I'm not so sure that's true. I'll leave it to everyone else to be sure. There's plenty of us who are sure. I'd rather take the less common position of not being sure. And that gives me tremendous peace, just in knowing that I'm not sure that anything is out of place in life. I'm not even saying that everything is in its right place. I'm just saying I don't know with any real perfect degree of certainty that things aren't as they should be. But if we look around, and I know I might catch myself in another moment later today where I go, seems as if I think things aren't the way they should be, and that life would be a little bit better if it matched my belief or my idea of how I think things should be. It would be better if it were different than it is, but it is the way it is. And so for me, part of me wonders if any belief is a limiting belief. If there's a belief, it's limiting. But I don't know that I could say that with great certainty. But what I can say with some relative degree of certainty is that I really enjoy being in that place where I'm not so sure, and where I don't need to know. And that to me feels closer to being unencumbered by limiting beliefs, is to be in that place of not knowing. Yeah. So that's my response to that.
Thank you, Travis.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes limiting in the sense that it's a thought formation or an energetic formation, which is electromagnetic frequency, which is, it almost is like our essence is transparent, like invisible formlessness. That's what the words that, I mean, it's very hard to explain what our essence is, right? What Eckhart calls it, and I'm going to use, since we are working on an Eckhart's group, Eckhart calls it invisible formlessness, right? So the thought formation or an emotion and the belief, the memories that are in our karmic structure are not even a word, like a thought formation. It can actually be an energy pattern as well, like jealousy, right? Nobody says I'm holding this belief that I'm jealous. Nobody says that, right? That I'm a jealous person. But there is an energetic, the archetype of jealousy is there within the human being. And that's why, I bring up the cooperation and collaboration part of it. So we would take an action to be cooperative and collaborative, right? Like what is in you is in me. I recognize myself in the other. There is no other, right? So many people say thank you to me. And somebody told me 2 days back on Facebook, like I responded to them. And I've been doing this for 5 years, right? Like, so it's not something new. I responded to them and they said, I'm a stranger. Thank you for responding to a stranger. And I said, there is no stranger, right? I see myself in the other. There is no stranger. So whether it's a bee, whether it's a spider, we are helping ourselves. So thank you for that posture that you would want to be in a state of, I don't believe, and I'm going to examine the experience of the present moment and examine if that matches a limiting belief, right? That's going to prevent my intention and desire. So thank you. Caesar, did you want to speak to what do you think is a limiting belief to an intention and desire?
Well, I really appreciate what Travis said on the beliefs. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Limitations are, I guess, defined by boundaries, which make them limiting to you. That's only a mind construct. And I think it goes hand in hand with the word belief, because beliefs are somewhat of boundaries as well. We all know there's a difference between believing and knowing. But let's talk about presence and the power of the intention. And we talked before about segment intention. And what is a segment? A segment is merely a small block of time. They happen periodically, almost at every moment throughout our days. And what Abraham likes to refer to as getting ahead of it, meaning instead of just flowing with the energy, to try to almost play with it in a sense, because we have that ability through our consciousness. So in a segment, see the block of time, let's suppose somebody calls on the phone right now, your intentions would slightly change from that which they are right now. If somebody walked into the room, that segment would slightly change, and so would our intentions. If you walked into a room, the intention would slightly change. The segment has changed. So to intend something prior, let's say you're driving in your vehicle, your intentions might shift from being in this moment here. Basically what it's saying is, I'm aware of this present moment and all that it contains, and the alignment of yourself to the universe, because the universe is always, like you said, collaborating and working with us at a constant pace. So it is our job through intentions, because nothing happens without intent. Dr. Wayne Dyer made that perfectly clear. And it is our job to align our frequency with that of what we desire. To maybe put the intention out there prior to the actual segment. You're coming into a particular segment. Just a quick thought about it, but the knowing or the belief about that, in a sense, has to be strong as the intent. When you have doubts, the only thing that keeps things from manifesting in life is what? Resistant thoughts about them. So the limiting belief would be any thought that is resistant to what the manifestation is. And segment intentions is just being fully aware of the present moment and what it contains, what is happening at this moment. That's just to be present. Others would call it an intended segment. Yeah, and being, getting out ahead of the moment is something that I try to do often, and it's just a way of generating good momentum throughout the day. And I think we spoke about this briefly And that's what I like to do. And everything you do is a practice. So just being aware of what the situation that you are in contains fully, just like a full analysis of it, just being aware of the presence of whatever situation it is. You don't have to judge it or put labels on it as being good or bad. Just allow it to be, because that will lead you to the next moment, and then you can be aware of that one as well. So staying present is the key. The limited belief would be the thoughts about the void of something, because in this moment, when you are present, nothing, absolutely nothing is lacking. And so I'll just leave on that note.
Thank you. Thank you, Caesar. So since you brought up Abraham Hicks, she brings up, what does she call it? The cooperative components. So when we are intending something, right? Like when we are intending, let's say, I intend to have this panel along with people out there, right? So the cooperative components become Travis, Eileen, Kelly, and Caesar become the cooperative components along with all the members that are out there live, right? Messaging us or being available on the Facebook group. So what she says is you can cut yourself off from the cooperative components, right? So once you send the intention that I want to have a panel, our inner being already is going towards that. The expansion is already there, right? The inner being is already manifesting. The moment the thought arises, I want to host a Facebook Live panel, the inner being is already manifesting the Facebook panel, right? So now the cooperative components have to join. Like right now, the cooperative component of Louise is not able to make it, and April has not been. So something happened in that energy field, right? That all I attracted was Travis, Caesar, Eileen, and Kelly today. Something happened with the energy with April and Louise, that Louise is available only virtually today. So that's what can happen. That can be, so thinking that we are cutting off, and that's why I started this segment by saying, always have in knowing, always, every present moment to every present moment, that we are connected to everything that is missing from our life as well. This word was stated by Dr. Wayne Dyer in his movie, The Shift, that we human beings think, I don't know how he put it, but he says this exact word. And I don't know why that always stayed in my mind, that we are always connected to everything that is missing in our life. During our course, so it's something like, what I do is I acknowledge whenever synchronicity happens. Like yesterday, I was texting Gracie, and I was eating apples. So Medical Medium has this recipe of blending dates with cinnamon and nutmeg, and then you pour it over diced apples, raw apples, and you eat it like apple pie, right? You get that apple pie filling kind of taste, but it's just apples with dates. And so I was eating it, and I'm texting Gracie, right? Hey Gracie, this is what I'm eating, kind of while I was eating it. And then she says she's been eating it like that day. Talk about interrelatedness of things. Talk about, like, right before when I started this segment, I said I was going to talk about this Indra's net, right? Like what Dr. Eben Alexander, and please do look up Indra's net on Wikipedia, like go Google search it, you will realize. So always having this knowing of the interconnectedness of things. And as most of you know, I finished the release of my book, right? So the people that helped me with my book, now first of all, Eileen has known me since 2019. I had no intention of writing a book, right? It so happened that I met a person, and Eileen knows that I've been talking about limiting beliefs since 2019. We've been with each other like 2 years. So um, I met somebody at work, and then I was talking to this person about Louise L. Hay's trajectory, right? That she was actually a spiritual teacher. She wrote a book, then she became successful. She started Hay House, a publishing business, right? So this coworker of mine says, why don't you talk so much about limiting beliefs? Why don't you write a book and I'll publish it for you, right? It so happened that somehow I lost connection with that coworker in the transactions of things, but the intention to write the book was to help her out, to make another human being successful, to give them that spark in their life that they can be a publisher. That was the intention of writing the book. Then once I lost touch with this person, I knew of a coworker that I had met 10 years back, who now is in the publishing business. I messaged him. I said, hey, I've written a book. Do you think it's something that you would want to publish? And then I sent him the manuscript, and he said, yeah. He read it, and then he said, yes, I'll publish it. Even though, now, this thing, if you look at my book at the very last page, he has a disclaimer. He does not believe anything of what is written in the book, because he is a Christian and he believes that the path to the unknowable is Jesus Christ, right? Look at how incredible the cooperative components of this world are. If I were to say, no, I'm not going to go with that publisher, the book wouldn't have been published, right? But I went with them. And then a few months later, like I told everyone, he would go, why don't you get it edited? Why don't you get it edited? And then I asked one of the editors, which is a mutual friend, I asked the editor, hey, will you be willing to edit it? And he said, yes. I didn't even have to, like, so know that all your cooperative components are always there. Whatever is missing in your life is also with you, right? That's one of Abraham Hicks's.
Yeah, I just want to chime in real quick and just say exactly that. And alignment is simply when you match the energies of the collective, the cooperative components that are constantly flashing before you, saying, I'm over here, because that end of it, the law of attraction says that energy is constantly working and throwing impulses towards you to take the path of least resistance to get you to be the other cooperative component of it. So alignment is just simply matching your frequency with that of what you intend. So.
Right. And I think the way Eckhart would put it is he would say, balance your beingness and doing, right? Because the beingness raises the vibrational frequency to alignment with inner beingness, right? And then you, with Abraham, she uses the word, you match the vibrational frequency of your vortex. Your vortex already has the millions of dollars or whatever abundance that you were wanting, right? Like if somebody wants to get into the quilting business, that abundance is already there, but you match it by getting into vibrational alignment, and it's all vibrational. To attract all your cooperative components, it's all vibrational, right? So I wanted to bring that up. Thank you, Caesar. Beautiful. Kelly, did you want to talk about any limiting beliefs? And there are quite a few about why intentions and desires don't manifest. So go ahead, Kelly. Thank you.
Sure. Limiting beliefs are any energy that we hold in our body that keeps us from being in alignment. Being in alignment with our hearts and being in alignment with our higher selves. the cooperative elements, as we're all talking about them, those aspects of our divine abundance that are always present in our energy field, and that our higher selves and our hearts are always ready and willing to accept and express and gift us with, are always there. One of the things to understand about the law of attraction and planetary intelligence is that there are sort of a few different layers to that element of reality of the law of attraction or the cosmic law and limiting beliefs. You have planetary intelligence, and planetary intelligence is always far, far beyond the energetic qualities of the limited ego mind of humans, unless that said human is actually in alignment and present. Now, in understanding limited beliefs, and again, by limited beliefs, let me qualify that by saying any energetic structure, mental or emotional, that is stuck in our energy field, in our vortex, as Abraham Hicks likes to point out. And if anyone is sort of confused about that whole concept about the vortex thing, look up human toroidal field, TORROIDAL. The human energy field is like a big donut. It's like this big moving donut. The EMF field of the planet is in the same shape. So this is a constant aspect of how humans, this is a reflection of how humans are actually a reflection of the divine manifestation of planetary energies. So planetary consciousness, planetary intelligence. When we are out of alignment and when we are not present, and when we are attached to a limiting belief structure or a bit of drama in our lives, judgment, fear, anger, or something, we can interrupt the natural flow of things. We can interrupt our capacity to manifest. We can cause ourselves a lot of grief and even physical pain and dis-ease because we are so attached to this thing in our energy field that we do not want to look at. Having cured myself of asthma when I was a kid, with Qigong when I was a teenager, having cured myself of hypoglycemia by having a conversation with myself and testing out what my internal dialogue did when I had Coke and a chocolate bar, some strawberries, and some almonds, and these three very different conversations that happened inside my body when I ingested these three things taught me an awful lot about what my nervous system does, what my mind does, what my ego does, and what my emotional defense mechanisms triggered by my reptilian brain all do differently, and how they all interact, and how stepping back into observation, being present with myself emotionally and mentally, gave me the ability to literally energetically change the script physically, emotionally, mentally on the spot by being present of how I physically responded to those things that I had just ingested. So manifesting and the interaction of limiting beliefs, right? So my limiting belief around food would have been, oh my God, I'm going to have this Coke and this chocolate bar and I'm just going to freak out. And I didn't, because I maintained control. I maintained my discipline, even though the response of my programming was to hijack everything and to have the sudden, the sugar, the caffeine, the sugar, to have this overabundance of energy, and my ego wanting to hijack me into judgment and fear and all these extreme emotions, because it had all this energy and it wanted to manipulate my reality and cause me to step out of alignment with my heart. Same thing happened with the strawberries. I had a whole liter of them. So there was a lot of, it was different sugar. It was, I took about 2 hours, drank a lot of water, let my system clean out. And then I had the strawberries. similar kind of thing happened, but not to the same degree of emotional extreme swing of the pendulum. Did the same thing, took 2 hours, drank water, had the almonds. Almonds were, yeah, that was cool. My body was like, all right, we can get on board with this, you know, because you had the protein, you had the fiber, you had the oils, basically stabilizes the blood sugar, stabilizes the body versus throwing the body out of alignment. So the conversation that I had with myself really educated me about how important it is to understand the mental emotional programming that we are constantly triggered into accepting as normal. And in doing so, limit ourselves, limit our capacity to feel, because we're constantly being pulled out of alignment, constantly being pulled into these weird spaces triggered by food or anything else external that we can ingest or be on the receiving end of, be it from someone else or just a life situation. It's all about research and understanding how we actually do under those kinds of circumstances. And so from the age of 19, I've had this understanding and this awareness of how important it is. And I am not pretending that, you know, in my 20s, I was this perfect, like, you know, Zen master, like little bodhisattva walking around going, you know, on money. No, it's like, no. I was in my 20s. It's like trying to, you know, find my identity outside of myself in my 20s and manifesting an awful lot of things, including a relationship that ended in a disastrous marriage and very profound learning experience as a result, that I keep reaping, you know, gems and jewels of wisdom from. So what we do manifest and how we view it is also really important to understand and to appreciate. I know from my own personal experience of manifesting someone because I was lonely, and I wasn't quite aware that I was lonely and that I was not wanting to look at that space of loneliness, that I then had this 11-year odyssey and journey of discovering what I really do want in my life and how I do want to live my life. And when we sort of allow ourselves to look at things from that space of learning, my personal experiences has shown me that regardless of what is going on in our lives, everything is a gift. Everything is a blessing. And I, you know, do not misunderstand that I am discounting or denying how traumatizing certain experiences can be. I am speaking in hindsight here, you know, having gone through the process of looking into things and looking into my pain and looking into a lot of what caused me to manifest from this space of loneliness. You know, that whole space of wanting to belong and wanting to feel loved and wanting to feel accepted and all that other stuff. So, you know, do not misunderstand that I am denying anyone else's personal experience, because I'm just speaking from my own, speaking from my own space of learning and understanding of manifesting from a limited belief, from that limited belief of loneliness. And how also with the food, that limited belief that even though I understood that I could actually have control over my body, control over my emotions, control over my mental space, I did also not understand at the time how I was not aware of the deeper qualities of limitation that I was holding on to inside of myself. Hence, manifesting from a space of loneliness when I was in my 20s and having this 11-year odyssey. This is why being present and being emotionally responsible and understanding how we are actually communicating with ourselves is so incredibly important. Having that discipline of going inside and examining all of those spaces we do not want to look at. And we all know what those spaces are. We all have those spaces where it's just like, oh, look at that on Thursday. Thursday comes around, it's like, oh, look at that on Sunday. Sunday comes around and say, what? I don't remember. Oh, let's just reschedule this for next year. You know, limiting beliefs are essential to look at. to understand and to let ourselves feel, because they are also the greatest key in terms of our own personal wisdom of growing. My 2 cents.
Thank you, Kelly. So you were talking about the way the planets are arranged. That is what our body or the human physical form is in relationship to the planets, right? I posted. So what I've done in the Facebook group is create units.
Right.
And in the units, I've created a presence through movement section. In there, one of the things that I posted is your Qigong posting about your training, because I really, I truly trust, right? Even though, okay, so please do not compare. Eckhart never talks about alignment of the body, right? But realize this is where your conscious mind needs to prevail. Eckhart had a fireworks kind of amazing experience, right?
Yep.
Of awakening. So don't compare yourself to Eckhart and say, Eckhart does not recommend meditation. Oh, Eckhart does not recommend Qigong. Oh, Eckhart does not recommend yoga. So I'm not going to do yoga, right? So one of the things that I was telling Eileen about this, I attended Tony Robbins' free training session just to see what the difference is between Eckhart and Tony Robbins. And they introduced this method called Egoscue, which is also, he says that you have to be in, your spine has to be like straight, right? So all the movement exercises of Egoscue, and I've posted it in the units section. If people pay attention, give presence to what is happening with this group in the unit sections under presence through movement, along with Kelly's Qigong, because I truly believe that was my first introduction is Qigong. Please take classes with Kelly. He has quite a few free classes, and we'll keep, as the classes keep getting consumed, we'll keep charging it back up. So y'all will have the ability to take the free classes. Kelly, if they take 2 consecutive classes, let them have it for free, and I'll keep up with the this thing. So because you will teach them how to be in that alignment, right? That spine, that bamboo, Kim calls it being in the bamboo position, right?
Yep.
Empty like a bamboo.
Bone alignment, opening the tendons and the fascia to allow the blood flow to wake up the nervous system and heal the body.
Right. And this Egoscue is also a method of doing that, like making your spine so that your feet are on the ground and your spine is straight. And they're very easy exercises, right? Just 5 minutes of those exercises and you will see. So the reason why you want to be in alignment is the download is from that Akashic field. So you want to tap in, get into alignment, whether you call it being in alignment with the vortex, being alignment with inner beingness, but you want your spine to be in such a position that you're getting a direct download. So when Travis creates his music, the download is coming from that certain field, right? The ego is not creating some kind of music, right? And it sounds like, what is that? My son used to play that music, and it was like some new age, this younger generation plays this music that sounds like some electronic equipment, like just making noises. And I was like, what is that? How can that be music? And I'm like, but that is what the young people were into, right? So I can't remember the band. But it was like they used to wear these, the characters they used to wear these costumes and sing. You wanted to
Yeah.
say something, Caesar?
Yeah, I think you're referring to techno, and they actually do put,
Okay.
they actually do incorporate frequencies. 432 is one, and they go to 10,000, and the frequencies are actually intended to help our vibrational frequency.
Okay.
And
It's
so it
techno?
is actually slipping in there, so it's kind of a beautiful thing. Just want to say that.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for enlightening me about music. Yeah, I had no idea, but it was strange. Like I can do rap. I can, because it's percussion. I love rap. I just don't, I'm not too fond of the language, but if I just listen to the music, I like the music. So I can do rock, I can do country, listen at least. But that techno was something out of this world. Eileen, did you want to say something about what is a limiting belief against intentions? What would your following of Dr. Joe Dispenza, since they talk about being superhumans?
Yes. I don't know that I know we've talked about limiting beliefs before, and I definitely have had them in my life. But I don't know that I would add anything on to what all has been shared from everyone already here. I don't know if a funny story though. I don't know if you remember this, Poonam, but it was like probably the first group meditation that I ever attended. So we're talking like last September or October.
2019 September.
Yeah, I think it might have been, I don't think I attended the first one. Maybe it was like October.
Okay.
And I had a cough. Like I had a really bad cough. And so you had asked if I wanted to share on the topic. And I I put it in the chat box because I was nonstop coughing. And I put it in the text box that was like, you know, I can't stop coughing. I'm going to save everybody from listening to me cough. But, and you said something about a limiting belief about, you know, speaking your truth. I forget what it was, something. And it literally went away in seconds. Like my cough was gone in like 10 seconds. No lie. And I instantly like texted my friend at the time that was trying to help me through the emotional stuff I was going through. And I was like, you are not going to believe this. And then she's like, no way, because I'm struggling with the same thing right now. And then like a month later, she's like, did I ever tell you that same thing happened to her? So I was thinking about that as you were talking, because I was like, oh my gosh, I remember our very first limiting belief conversation.
That is amazing.
Because our limiting beliefs can have some crazy effects. It's not just that you're manifesting, you know, whatever it is that you're trying to avoid, but it's like sometimes it comes out in some really strange
Intentions and desires that we feel that we are not supported, right? So the reason why I said cough is because this is the throat chakra, and throat is expression, right?
Mhm.
We use voice to express, and so what if the cough is suppressing? So it's showing that the limiting belief is we are suppressing, we are not wanting to express what we want to say, and it'll become like strep throat. If you ignore it, it'll become a strep throat.
I had
Or
that
sinus
constant cough for like
sinus
3
infection.
weeks. I had that cough, and it was
Sinus
like gone in
infection.
seconds. And I was like, okay, alrighty then. But yes.
Kelly wants to say something.
If I can just add a penny or two.
Sure.
The other my experience, I've had a sensitive throat my entire life. Sort of came with the asthma. One of the things that I learned or had as a learning experience is how to discern other people's stuff from my own. Because I've shared, up until the last couple of years, I've shared this house with roommates, some of whom are actually really, you know, have been really nice people, and other people who are not very conscious at all, and have very shut down expressions. And there was a couple that I was sharing the house with before they moved out. The last people I shared the house with, where they're exceptionally shut down, very traditional Spanish Catholic paradigm, and a couple from Colombia, and just very, very traditional patriarchal roles. Young couple, very, very nice people, very, very nice people, but their energy was so closed down and so rigid. I would wake up in the middle of the night coughing and choking. And it would be like night and day in terms of if I got within, like 2 or 3 feet of one of them, my throat would get a little itchy. And having grown up with asthma, having had asthma attacks, knowing what that feels like when, the throat closes up, and like having years and years and years of learning what it feels like when, your own body is trying to suffocate you, it's very, very sensitive to the feeling. So I would do, I would do research where, and they're in my house for like 3 years. So I'd do research where I'd literally pretend to be doing stuff in the kitchen just to get close to them, just to literally see where, like 3 feet, 2 feet, 2.5 feet, 3 and a bit, kind of, okay, yeah, 3 and a bit. So it's about like 3 and a bit. As soon as I get like within 3 and a bit feet, my throat would start to get all like, rumpy. So yeah, expression, right, is obvious, and as soon as they left, it has not been a problem since. So coughing in the throat, again, understanding what we're feeling inside is so important. And simple things like coughs can be like actually really huge learning lessons.
Thank you, Kelly. Beautiful.
I haven't had any more coughs since last October, just so you know.
But
And
you
I used
become
to be
more
one to
aware.
get them. I've been one to get them many, many times.
Awesome.
But funny.
It's incredibly amazing how just the conscious mind or presence power, like give attention to something and it dissolves it, right? And we have the power. That's what I want everyone to experience, that the power is within you, right? It's not with Travis, it's not with Kelly, it's not with Eileen. The power is within you. I want you to experience it, like how you can shift one little thing and healing and abundance, right? Abundance of health. So what Eileen invited in that little shift was abundance in health. Did anybody else comment about any of their limiting beliefs, Eileen? About
There's been a
intention.
couple. Sorry, there's been a couple of comments about experiences. We don't have any. Looking. Kimberly Harvey. She said that she served many years ago when she was working in customer service. Sorry, it's hard for me to read on that screen. She loaned a EgoSQ book for several months. Says she was explaining about her sore knees from being a half marathoner for 10 years. And she brought the book the next time she came in. She showed up months later to my store to retrieve it, having almost forgotten about loaning it to me. I found it so helpful for my knees at that time. Sorry, I'm like.
That's the EgoSQ?
Mm-hmm.
The EgoSQ method. So if you cannot do yoga and it's so incredible, right? I mentioned it and now look, there's somebody online that actually knows about it. I had never heard of, I've heard of yoga, I've heard of Qigong, I've heard of Tai Chi, but I've never heard of the EgoSQ method. And Tony Robbins himself uses that method, right? So.
And Samar also said to Kelly, your roommates, their vibrations suffocated your throat chakra.
Yes.
You're muted.
Thank you.
Yep, I know. And
Thank you. So I'm going to stay on the topic because this intentions and desires, once we touch the ability to manifest our intentions and desires, right? So we kind of get in alignment with, here is consciousness flowing through me, and this is what consciousness wants me to do. Like what Eckhart says, ask life, don't ask what you want, but ask life what life wants to do through you, right? So you're constantly checking, what does life want to do, express itself through me? You're checking, then life, why is there a discrepancy? Here is life wanting to do something through your physical form, but then your intentions and desires are not manifesting. One of them is finances. Eckhart talks about financially, why are we not abundant? And he says, if we had a childhood where, and even in this book, The Nature of Personal Reality, they talk about parents sometimes say, right, money does not grow in trees. It's not easy to get money. Why are you wasting? Why did you spill even like 4 droplets of milk, right? You get a beating for spilling something or throwing something away. Why did you throw that little piece of bread away, right? People are very conservative. So I want y'all to say about finances, right? Where do you see this? How do we in action show that we are holding that limiting belief, right? That it's hard, financially, it's very hard to earn money. Eileen, we have to work very, very hard to earn money. Long hours to earn money.
That's where there's a difference, because I do the long hours, but I'm not doing it for the money. So.
But wouldn't that be
Oh, that's
limiting belief?
totally, absolutely.
That have to work.
Unless you're referring to the fact that I've been working for the
No.
last 13 hours.
I'm
Okay.
just asking.
Oh, that's definitely a limiting belief.
Right.
Yep.
Travis, you want to
I live with someone who has it.
That they need to work 18, 19, 20 hours a day so that they can earn money, and only hard work.
The only
So they're not
way they'll be happy.
They're not participating in the law of least effort, which is.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Travis, you want to talk about financial, why do we not manifest? So intention and desire is there. I'm positive everybody wants enough finances at least, right? That's basic fundamental. And I'll move through the basic fundamental things that are intentions, leave alone, oh, I want to manifest like peace on earth and have like 6 million followers that I can have group meditation with, or have peaceful conversation with, or bring peace to, right? Not even that. I'm just talking about basic fundamental thing for a human being, which is finances, day-to-day finances. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, you know, it's funny. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind for me is my family and my upbringing. You know, in ways I really am very grateful for the kind of general frequency or attitude or kind of disposition around money in my family growing up. And I guess I'm speaking to, you know, around with my father, because I had times with my mother where she was, you know, with someone who was kind of wealthy for a while or something like that. But in the years growing up with my dad, and my mother grew up very poor, extremely poor. My dad didn't grow up quite as poor, but once he became an adult, there wasn't a real emphasis put on money. The only time that my dad really cared much for money was when he had to take care of all of his kids, and there was a reason to make the money. Before that, he didn't have he was happy to drift about in life and not be creating a stable, secure life, planning for a future, none of that. And even once all of us kids were in the picture, um, our needs were always met, but there was never a lot of money, and so there was an interesting mix going on there, because there was a tremendous degree, as best I can read it, of peace around not needing much. I feel like my family, we're really we did not fit into society very much. There was a lot more emphasis put on being as important, and the world of doing and accomplishing and what society values, those values weren't shared by my family. And I'm grateful for that. It's a little unusual. Um, and so, I've had in my own situation as I've grown up and left home, um, I've always had everything I need, and this beautiful life has formed itself around me because, and I mean, I feel confident about this because I'm at a certain place within myself. I'm resonating at some sort of general disposition or frequency, and I find myself in relatively desirable situations. My work has been very pleasant all my life. The people who have come into my life, they've been so dear and so sweet. People of just tremendous character and honor and virtue. These inner riches. These are the real riches to me, are these inner riches. But then I'll have situations arise where, and I'll spare the details of my personal life, where the money, I start to go, oh, that would be really nice. Now, because I want to give of myself, and I love that intention so much. That's an intention I can be at peace with within myself. I don't need to be a guy that has a lot of money. I don't need to have an idea around myself of be somebody that has this or that, or be perceived this way or that. But there are certain, but I do, it's funny talking about beliefs and everything I said about believing earlier, but I really believe in abundance. In all of its forms. And to me, that is God in a way, that abundance. Um, and so, so it's an interesting thing for me where, I'm, you know, I feel like I'm moving into a deeper frequency, I suppose. So as to draw in or resonate with, or magnetically, or kind of attract, that greater abundance in 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 the way of money. And yeah, and so to do that, I am having to work out some of these limiting beliefs that I've grown up with, because even though we've been at some relative place of peace around money, we've never, this general aura around my family that I've been imprinted on me so deeply, is we don't have much, we never really will. We could associate and equate money to the evils of society, to what's wrong with the world out there, those things. And so, but to me personally, growing up so counterculture and on the fringe of society, I love mainstream society because that's most people. That's why it's called mainstream. So I just like people because I love to love everything and everyone. And so I I just I am deprogramming. I'm unlearning what I knew, right? What I know, and it's embedded in me so deeply. I don't even have to think about it for it to be a part of my aura. Um, Unlearning those things so that so that I can unblock those channels and allow these things to flow freely. Because what I really love, what and I feel like what's kind of at the heart of it for me is more and more as life goes on, I recognize in myself that nothing brings me more joy but than to give of myself. I love giving so much. And so to be able to do that in different ways, I mean, it's all the energetic essence of it is the heart of it, but it does manifest in ways materially. And so part of that is to have that freedom energetically to be unbound, less constricted. And so for that, I'm curious about and like, and I'm happy to look into and explore that world of greater financial freedom, so that I can discover more of myself and give more of myself. But a lot of it does come down to, I know for me, like lately, I've been as of recently doing some daily affirmations, which has been really helpful for me, because it's a way of, instead of being afraid of going, oh no, do I have these limiting beliefs that are just going to keep orbiting back around? Instead, it's like, well, I acknowledge the power of my thought processes and of my mind's eye, and that visionary capacity of who and what I am, and I can consciously use that to kind of dismantle and transmute those limiting beliefs into consciousness and into openness and into freedom, so that that abundance can realize itself all the more, I think. So I appreciate the question, because it's something that I'm enjoying working with right now.
Beautiful. Because I do, when I say peace, and the power is in each and every human being, right? So when I say peace, harmony, and abundance for all, every human has to use their intention and desires to attract that abundance. I'm not going to do it. You're not going to do it, right, Travis? For them, or Caesar is not going to do it, or Kelly's not going to do it. So as we uncover or unlayer, right, peel that onion and show everyone our vulnerability, right, that yes, that exists in us, and we are working towards unlearning it, right, dissolving that limiting belief. Because as you dissolve the limiting belief, then you attract, as that event is passing by, you attract the event that brings you abundance in finances too, so that you don't have to have a full-time job and work on your music business on the side or group meditation. You can just straight focus on the music business and do your group meditation and your speaking, right? So like Eckhart says, right, like he did a huge big, he wrote on a paper, he said books, and then he said spiritual talks, and then he said traveling to different countries, and folded that paper and put it away, right? So it's almost like that. Yeah, we have a wide vision, but it has to be, once we dissolve these structures. So that limiting belief that when we are spiritual, spiritual people should not have, should be like, threadbare clothes and not have possessions, right? That is one of the limiting beliefs, even in the book Nature of Personal Reality, that's going to prevent. So anybody that believes that being spiritual implies we don't need financial abundance, what I would say the antidote to that is, picture ourselves having the money, right? Yeah, being spiritual, I can, because you're giving so much, Travis. And already, like what Abraham Hicks would say, he's put so much in his vortex, right? Caesar, you've given so much of yourself that you've put like maybe billions of dollars in your vortex already, because you actually are a caregiver, right? So you've already, through imbuing consciousness through you, touched that human being, and constantly over the years you've been doing it, right? It's not 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. You've been doing that, so you've already done that. What Eckhart would say is, just know that you have to live with it, with a certain amount of detachment. What I've noticed about Eckhart, he says, like he wears like a $20,000 watch. If anybody knows, he wears the expensive tick, 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 like the mechanical watches, right? He loves watches, right? But he says, if I were to lose that watch, it wouldn't affect me. Like he knows, he lives with the world of form with a lot of detachment. He's going to enjoy it for that minute, right? It's okay for me to have the $20,000 watch, but if I were to lose it, I know my essence identity. My essence is like, there's a talk called Impulse to Awaken. In there, he says, he walks a person, you lost your money, you lost your relationships and everything. Now you're in a trailer. Oh, it's going to be so wonderful sitting outside in this trailer. Like you can see the happiness in him, right? Of sitting outside in a trailer. Kelly was going to say something while you were speaking, Travis. So Kelly, did you want to say something?
Dang, I lost my train of thought. Sorry, busy yawning here. Long day.
Okay.
Oh, yes, right. Affirmations. Affirmations are something that I use an awful lot. Invocations, affirmations, decrees, because you can retrain the way that you are aware of your intention, the way that you focus your thoughts, your energy, your heart space on a specific goal, preference, or general arc in your life or situation. And you can use affirmations to teach yourself how to feel yourself present when you are involving yourself in a project or planning, not projecting, not manipulating, not forcing a reality to happen, but being present with that affirmation, with that space of feeling, of being present with that goal in mind, and also teach yourself how to be detached from an assumed or expected outcome, but still offer up to the universe a preferred end result, a preference for creating something in your life. Awesome. Yeah, affirmations.
Thank you, Kelly. And then Eckhart, during his Omega conversation, I don't know if you listened to it on as part of the Conscious Manifestation course. There's a person that asks him a question about money, and he gives a whole explanation of he tried the donation route, and then people would just get up and leave, right? Just because they donate. One, they wouldn't give enough donation. They would be very stingy about their donation. And then if he charged very less, then people would get up and leave. So finally, he realized by looking at all the other spiritual teachers and how much they charge, he kind of charges that much. Like a lot of people complain, why is Eckhart's events so expensive, right? But he realizes when people pay for it, and Sadhguru says the same thing, when people pay for it, they sit in that chair because they paid for that event, right? The commitment is there. So think of it that way, that that you're charging people. Yes, you need to charge so that they're serious about their event, right? So I do the same thing. I do the opposite. I actually buy things for people, like like the buying classes, or I'll say, if you want to try Sacred Acoustics, I'll buy you the music, right? So I'm paying them to say, try it out, right? So it's something, the opposite of that, but it kind of works because people don't want to pay. That's their mentality. The other thing is giving like a little bit more, buying something a little bit more expensive. So you're kind of saying, I'm okay with wealth, right? Buying a higher quality thing, like instead of buying like a $5 t-shirt at Walmart, you may go to Macy's and buy a $20 t-shirt that's better cotton. I think I should eat and sleep. Yes, please, Eileen. I'm going to close, have Caesar speak, and then I'll probably close because both everybody's a bit tired today. So it has been a long day for everyone. Caesar, you want to talk about financial, and then we'll go into a few more things about intentions and desires. So
Sure. The financial spectrum from a spiritual level or from a spiritual perception, to me, should be one that one should not really attach itself to and make the focus or the intention of what they are doing, having the money be the motivator. I think it's really important that you do something that you enjoy, that you are aligned with, that which feels good. And Wayne Dyer told a story of how when he started, money was his motivation. And no matter how hard he tried, and the more he got exposure and the more events he held and so on, and the more books he's written, the money just wasn't there. For some reason, it just never came off. I mean, it was enough to get him by, but there was no means of abundance with the financial end for him until he detached himself from the need of money. And this is one of the reasons why most people don't have money, is because they're focused on the void of the need for the money. And it's hard to manifest because the universe is going to reflect back to you as you feel. So when you feel lack, I mean, the presence is just saying this moment is perfect as it is and nothing is lacking. And therefore our vibrational frequency raises to that of gratitude. And then when you combine gratitude with abundance, saying, I have everything I need, well, of course, life mirrors back to you and says, here's more of everything that you need. So that's how that works. It's the universe is constantly saying yes to what your intentions and desires, through your soul's path, wants to lead you to. So when you constantly think of, as most people do, how am I going to get the bills paid? I'm broke. I need more money. How am I going to get, this watch I want? I don't have enough money. The focus is on the other end of the stick. It's the void of what you want. When you put yourself into a state of gratitude and understand and truly believe that nothing is lacking, and you constantly tell yourself, everything is working out for me. It always has. I have everything I need. This moment is perfect as it is. I need nothing. There are no wants. There are no desires. Of course, we know desires are born from the contrast to something that don't feel good, which is important, to use as a tool in life. But to not make the money the means or the motivation of why you do something is very key. Because one, there will be no attachment to the money. Eckhart talks about people, spiritual teachers per se, getting to a point where they're financially set and wealthy, and a little shift happens and the ego creeps back in because of the attachment to the money, as if it is validating them. So now they drive a $100,000 car instead of a $20,000 car, and as if that adds something to their well-being, to them. And it's not so. But that's where we lose our focus and allow the ego to creep back in. But again, I'll just state that it is important not to make money the motivator. The money will come if you are flowing and working with source energy. I believe that in my heart. Just know that everything is always working out for you, and just maintain that level of gratitude, and everything that you want will become in alignment with it, and it will be so.
Thank you, Caesar. The universe is always working in our favor, and appreciation and gratitude attracts more of the abundance, right? So thank you. Kelly, did you want to talk anything about financial, what is the limiting belief? Travis gave an excellent example.
Sure, I can share a little bit. Well, I mean, the main limiting belief around financial wealth is poverty consciousness, is the concept that we are less than a spiritual being, that we lack, that we believe in lack, and that we hold on to this concept that we can only achieve if we literally kill ourselves for a paycheck. And this sort of, goes and speaks to the concept of doing more by doing less. And I've always loved this sort of concept where you can actually achieve a lot more in life by doing less. And by doing less, this is by less attachment, less fear, less anger, less poverty consciousness, less anxiety, less attachment to limiting beliefs that cause you to believe that you do not deserve the life that you want. And understanding that it is about alignment, understanding that it is about the feeling inside, and that it is also a reflection of how conditioned our belief in separation from alignment actually is. The belief in lack is because we are separate from our hearts, because we are not connected with the divine. We are not letting ourselves have the space to feel our alignment, to come into alignment, to let ourselves feel how to be present, to be disciplined with being present, and emotionally responsible, so that we can address and look at the limited belief of lack and poverty consciousness. Put on what you were saying earlier about how in the spiritual community there is a belief, and I've seen it firsthand, I've experienced it firsthand, where there's like, you know, we have to be threadbare and like walk around like Gandhi, you know? It's just like, when did that happen, right? When did that happen? You know, the one of the things about the, you know, the 60s is that there was this huge counterculture movement. And what happened is that people started believing that actual spirituality involved abandoning our capacity to provide for ourselves, as in abandoning the old patriarchal paradigm of providing for ourselves, working hard and building something. And that would all just magically come to us without any work. Life is about building for ourselves and providing for ourselves. And, you know, the New Age community here in Winnipeg has a very strong belief in this. I have had numerous people who have, well, friends I used to have that I used to talk to, where I just couldn't stand the constant judgment of self, or their projection onto me that I shouldn't want to be successful, that I shouldn't, you know, it was just like, oh, well, you're doing something spiritual, so you should like be in a cave and like, you know, go meditate in a cave and be all like, you know, like Bodhidharma. I'm going, why? I like food. I mean, I like food. I like my blankets. Like, I don't like, you know. So there's this juxtaposition, this dichotomy of like, where spiritual life has to be one of poverty. And yes, there are a lot of really exemplary, amazing examples. Let's use that word. My brain, my words aren't working so well anymore. There are some amazing examples, like St. Francis of Assisi, who was very much a leader, but he was also part of a larger community. And he believed in giving, and he believed in building a community to support the poor and to not have any riches. And this has always been a point of contention, where it's like, oh, well, all of these riches are like, you know, God-given, so they're like, you know, it's all good and stuff like that. And it's like, all this gold is great. You know, sharing and collaborating with all the collaborative pieces that we are involved with all the time, sharing the wealth, literally sharing the love, and giving back to those that have supported us is an essential aspect of self-love and being present and reflecting the joy of receiving by giving. And that is the way the universe actually works. That is the way God actually works. That is the way creation, spirit actually works. We all have, and trust me, when I figure this one out, when I figure out like the whole divine abundance equation, I'll be like writing it down and like emailing it to everybody, because, you know, it's a balance. It's understanding how to feel present with that space of, yes, I do deserve to have the life that I want, But and Caesar, loved what you said about that attachment, about how, you know, we get into this, the ego creeps in, right? And then you go from driving a $20,000 car to $100,000 Rolls Royce. You know, if that ever happens to me, I give everyone here permission to like smack me upside the head, because like, what the heck, man? You know, if I had, you know, if I had like 9 Rolls Royces in the garage, I'd like, please come and take them from me. Like, oh my God, just like donate them. When you have that much abundance in your life, like if I had that kind of abundance in my life, you better believe I'd be setting up, you know, a foundation for the homeless here in Winnipeg, a charity for, you know, kids to eat, you know, just like, like I've spent 30 years watching government drop the ball. I've seen how it happens. Like, I would love to be able to give back. And, you know, understanding that success, like for me, success is all about community, is all about collaboration, is all about sharing. And, you know, being on here with everyone just reaffirms my own belief in myself, my own faith in myself about sharing. You know, I love coming on here and sharing and collaborating with all of you guys, and, you know, sharing little kernels of nuggets of wisdom, of experience that we, you know, with you guys to illuminate and to elaborate and to help other people understand their own journey. You know, to me, that's one of the greatest privileges in life, is being able to support others.
Thank you, Kelly. I heard you say one part that you said was some people believe that they have to work too hard for a paycheck.
Yes.
Right? So if we have that limiting belief that I have to work hard, what the universe will do is exactly make us go paycheck to paycheck to paycheck.
Yep.
Right? Just give us enough money to look at that limiting belief. So if anybody's going from paycheck to paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, look at what Kelly's saying about that limiting belief, that I have to work really, really hard. And then you're putting in 18, 19 hours, not getting paid for the 18, 19 hours, right? They're trying to increase the minimum wage. Our president is trying to increase the minimum wage to $15. I don't even know what the current, I remember working for $5.90 or 60 cents an hour, right, as minimum wage. That used to be minimum wage. What about 15? Oh my God, that's like riches, right? So that's a beautiful example of a limiting belief. So Travis is giving.
I've lived paycheck to paycheck. I've experienced that. Except, there's a little caveat here. The universe is always taking care of me. So this is one of them for me, like the contrast, like the dichotomy. When I've needed money, it's always sort of magically happened and appeared, like, and I'm just like, but that, you know, and the universe is always like, okay, you're supposed to do this here, boom. And it's like, oh, okay. So even living paycheck to paycheck, there are these moments where it's like, okay, it's time to do this. Here you go. So being open, keeping yourself open is really important.
Thank you so much for that. And then I heard you say you can be of service. Like Travis, I feel like has an amazing job, that your job is in itself is service oriented, that you just get full gratification and fulfillment is there of offering yourself, right? But if you're doing a job like, let's say, what Eckhart uses as an example, toll booth. I'm just using a general example. Like it's mechanical, right? You're in a production line at a factory, and you're doing this certain job mechanically. So be of service. I heard you say, right, Kelly? Be of service to another.
I mean, this is one of the reasons why I love teaching, because I love supporting people's journey becoming just even confident in their physical presence, just being healthy. You know, I absolutely love and cherish the opportunity to support others.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So the smallest thing that you can do is find maybe a relative, like you take care of their, like what Eileen was saying, right? Your neighbor, you're going to take care of their laundry or take care of their kids or just drop off some food for them, right? So that Eileen does not go without lunch. I mean, there's small examples. It's not even like, oh, I have to sign up in a volunteer form and go to the food bank and go Meals on Wheels and I have to go deliver meals. Not even that huge of be a service, because that starts in abundance, right? I mean, I feel like I'm very humbled by what Travis does, because you actually do the service without even knowing. I mean, I'm sure you know that you're doing a service, but you're serving another, right? Serving another human being. And that in itself is like an outflow. What Eckhart says, the outflow determines the inflow, right? So that, and then I wanted to go back to what you pointed about what Caesar was saying about the latent ego, right? That you are spiritual, and now because of your spirituality and giving, you attracted more abundance. You went from the $20,000 car to the $100,000 car. Eckhart has I think it's that Impulse to Awaken talk where he talks about Osho's secretary, Ma Sheila, that they were in an communes type in Oregon, right? They were in a commune type situation, and he made her the secretary of the commune. And then she started to take over the small town that they were part of. Like they would started poisoning the salad bar because they wanted to own the land or something. So look at how the latent ego, this sweet person, this really, and she has no remorse of what she did, right? Osho's Bhagwan Rajneesh's secretary, she has no remorse of what she did. She says she went to jail, she served her sentence, so she has no remorse. But it was pretty. They were walking around with machine guns. I think they have something on Netflix on this.
Yeah, the Netflix documentary is really good.
What is it called? Wild.
I cannot remember.
It's called Wild Country.
Yes.
Wild Country. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So that's another, since we are all on the spiritual path. So what is going to prevent your intentions and desires is the latent ego that sees it. That is a great pointer, because if that ego is pushing in, right, then the ego is going to manifest its own destruction. So that's the saboteur, right? That latent ego is the saboteur, right? It's going to sabotage. Something is going to fall. Like we're trying to do a quilting business, and the person that is actually probably funding our quilting business falls. Or Rachel Ray is very commonly known, what is it, Food Network star here, right? She had a house fire recently, and she's around fire all day long, and she had a house fire. So those kind of things show me that, right, that the person is attracting abundance and some latent ego has come in. So the universe is bringing them down to their knees again. And you just have to accept, instead of going, why is this happening to this person? You just have to move into a state of acceptance. Good. Had a good evening, everyone. And so deeply humbling, honor, and a privilege to have all of you. We'll get into the next one, which is, actually, I want to go into the health. So what do we want as peace, harmony, and abundance. We want abundance in finances and abundance in health. I will ask about abundance in health and abundance in relationships next time. Manifesting intentions and desires are supported. And why can't we manifest health? What is preventing me from manifesting health? And what is preventing me from manifesting good relationships? Have a fantastic evening. Many blessings, honor, and a privilege. Humble. Good night. Much love.
Congratulations
Bye.
on your book, Udom.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Good
Kelly.
night, everyone.
Thank you,
Everybody
Travis.
go out
Good
and
night.
get it.